Hello, everybody. This is Pastor Willie, and this is the encouraging word for today for you and for me. Every child must learn that you cannot touch fire, you cannot touch a hot pot or a pan when it's on the stove. Hopefully, they learn that from listening to their parents, but often they have to learn from experience by touching a hot pot or a pan on the stove and burning their finger and crying and feeling the pain. From that point on, they have a healthy attitude towards fire and hot pots and pans on the stove. That lasts for their whole life. In the same way, we all, as followers of Jesus, need a healthy attitude towards sin. Without that, we will never be able to live a life of victory. God intends, his intention, his desire is for you to live a life of victory, for me to live a life of victory. And in order to do that, we need a healthy attitude towards sin. David learned by experience. He had a horrible experience in the situation with Bathsheba, adultery, murder, and he saw the destructive nature of sin, the consequences, how it just spread out, affected everything in his life, everyone in his life, affected generation to generation to generation. Sin is destructive. Sin is deceptive. Sin cannot be controlled. The consequences can never be controlled. Sin must be killed, not toyed with, not winked at, not indulged in, but killed. Now that's a very, very strong word. And if there was a stronger word, I would use that word. Let's listen together today to 2 Samuel chapter 22, verse 38 and 39, where David is recounting his experiences towards the end of his life, sort of a summary of what he has learned. 2 Samuel 22, verse 38 and 39. I pursued my enemies and crushed them. I did not turn back till they were destroyed. I crushed them completely, and they could not rise. They fell beneath my feet. Physical enemies he's talking about. He destroyed them. You say, well, that's very harsh, Pastor Willie. Why not just make friends with his enemies? Why not just coexist with his enemies? These were enemies that were out to kill him and destroy him. And given the opportunity, they would kill him and destroy him. The only healthy attitude David could have was to destroy them first. And our attitude for sin must be the same. You cannot leave part of sin in your life. It must be completely destroyed. If David would have left just a few of his enemies, they would have regrouped, rebuilt, and then started to try to kill him again. The lesson we learned is that victory begins with understanding that sin is destructive. Any sin, a little sin, a large sin, whatever you want to call it, any sin is destructive to yourself, to your relationship with God, and towards others. So our attitude towards sin, whether it's lust, jealousy, unforgiveness, gossip, or whatever the sin is, must be that Sin is deadly, like touching a hot stove, and it must be removed from my life. It must be killed, or it will kill me. So instead of, if we don't kill it, instead of walking in victory and joy, we will walk in defeat. So today I encourage you to examine your attitude towards those sins in your life that you tolerate. And I know as I'm speaking today, the Holy Spirit is bringing situations to your attention. And victory begins with your attitude, changing your attitude. That's where it begins. And tomorrow we'll see the second step to living a life of victory. But today, examine your attitude and change your attitude towards whatever the sin is, that it must be killed. Because, my friends, it will burn you. God bless you, and I look forward to following up with you tomorrow. God bless.